James had always prided himself on being the ideal husband. He loved his wife, Sarah, and had built a stable life with her over the years. They had 2 children, aged 9 and 12, and their family was his world. However, everything changed one fateful evening when James stumbled upon an unexpected discovery: his wife's affair. It wasn't a moment of suspicion, but a cruel accident. While looking for something on Sarah's phone, James found a video message from another man. The video, innocent at first glance, soon became a painful reveal as it depicted Sarah and her lover sharing intimate moments. The evidence was undeniable. The initial shock left James paralyzed. The emotions that hit him, betrayal, anger, sadness, and disbelief, flooded in all at once. He thought about the years of shared memories, the vows they exchanged, and the life they built together. It felt like a nightmare that he couldn't wake up from. But, more than anything, he felt humiliated. The woman he trusted more than anyone else had lied to him, deceived him, and broken the heart of the family they created. After hours of silent reflection, James made a decision that would change their family forever. He confronted Sarah, who admitted to the affair, but she expressed deep regret. Despite her apology, James was emotionally shattered and couldn't bear to stay under the same roof. He packed his belongings and moved out of their shared home, leaving behind the house that once felt full of life and love. What followed next was a decision that would haunt James. He chose to share the truth with their children. They deserved to know, he felt, even though he knew it would be a devastating blow. He sat down with them, trying his best to be calm, but the pain was evident in his eyes. He showed them the video, explaining what had happened, though he struggled with how much detail to share. His son, looking at the video, could barely hold back his tears. His daughter, on the verge of disbelief, asked how their mother could betray them like that. The room was filled with awkward silence, broken only by their sobs. The children's emotional responses shook James to his core. He never imagined that they would have to carry such a burden so young. But he felt they had a right to understand the gravity of the situation, even if it meant shattering their perception of family and trust. He also knew he had no choice but to give them the painful truth so they wouldn't grow up confused by hidden lies. In the weeks that followed, James and Sarah navigated an uncharted emotional territory. They tried counseling, but the trust had been irrevocably broken. The children struggled to comprehend their new reality. Their world seemed to fragment with each passing day. James tried to reassure them that he would always be there for them, but his wife's affair left an indelible mark on all their hearts. The emotional aftermath of the affair and the exposure of it to the children left the entire family in a whirlwind of confusion, anger, and grief. James faced the complicated journey of healing, questioning his ability to ever trust again, not just his wife, but people in general. Sarah, on the other hand, was left to deal with the guilt of her actions, her children's disillusionment, and the wreckage she had caused. As time passed, the emotional scars from the affair and the difficult decision James made to confront their children began to shape their individual futures. James worked on rebuilding his life and restoring his relationship with his children. For Sarah, it was a painful road to redemption, but she never gave up on trying to repair the bonds with her family, knowing the road ahead was long and filled with obstacles. Betrayal and emotional turmoil centers around the profound emotional upheaval that arises when a partner uncovers infidelity in their relationship. Infidelity, whether emotional or physical, is one of the most devastating breaches of trust a person can experience in a committed partnership. For the husband, James, the realization that his wife, Sarah, had betrayed him with another man was not just a shock, it was a moment that shattered the very foundation of everything he thought he knew about their relationship. The intensity of the emotional turmoil that James goes through is indicative of the deep psychological impact that infidelity can have, not only on the victim of the betrayal, but also on their sense of identity, trust, and self-worth. James had always considered his marriage to be a secure and loving one. The couple had built a life together, raising children, establishing shared goals, and creating memories that seemed to promise a stable future. The thought of his wife being unfaithful had never crossed his mind. They had shared intimate moments, confided in one another, and leaned on each other in times of hardship. But the discovery of the affair plunged James into an emotional abyss, forcing him to question everything that had once seemed certain. The sense of betrayal was overwhelming. It wasn't just the fact that Sarah had chosen someone else over him, but also the realization that she had kept this part of her life hidden from him for so long. The deceit cut deep, and James found himself grappling with a wide array of conflicting emotions. Initially, James felt a paralyzing sense of disbelief. He couldn't fathom how the woman he loved and trusted could deceive him in such a profound way. The truth of the affair, evidenced by the video on Sarah's phone, was undeniable, and yet James struggled to accept it. The emotional impact of the revelation left him feeling betrayed, not just as a husband, but as a person who had been blind to the reality of their marriage. This is a common response to discovering infidelity, as the betrayed partner often enters a state of shock, unable to reconcile the version of their relationship they believed in with the new, painful reality. The sense of betrayal often feels like a personal attack, leading to feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. As the emotional shock began to wear off, James moved into a phase of intense anger and frustration. Anger directed at Sarah for her actions, for the pain she caused, and for the impact her affair would have on their children. But the anger wasn't just toward her, it also turned inward. James found himself grappling with intense feelings of failure. In the aftermath of the discovery, he couldn't help but ask himself, "What did I do wrong? Or why wasn't I enough?" These questions, though common in the aftermath of infidelity, are incredibly damaging and reflect the complex interplay between love, trust, and self-worth. The betrayal makes the victim feel as though their value has been undermined, not only in the eyes of their partner, but in their own eyes as well. In addition to anger, feelings of sadness and grief began to set in. The sadness was profound, not only because of the loss of trust in his partner, but also because of the deep pain of losing the idealized version of his marriage. James mourned the relationship he thought he had, the connection he thought was unbreakable. Infidelity forces individuals to confront the fragility of their relationships and the harsh reality that not all love is as secure as it may seem. This loss of an ideal can often lead to a deep sense of grief, which may be similar to mourning the end of a relationship, even if the partnership is not yet over. The mourning process, while complicated, is an essential part of emotional healing, though it can often feel endless. James's emotional turmoil also manifested as confusion. With his sense of reality shattered, he struggled to understand why Sarah had made the choices she did. He had thought they were happy, that their marriage was strong, but the affair proved that his perception had been skewed. This confusion led to feelings of powerlessness. James felt that, despite his best efforts, he had no control over his marriage or his partner's actions. The helplessness that accompanies infidelity is one of the most disorienting aspects of the experience. The betrayed partner is often left wondering what could have been done differently, even though the responsibility for the affair ultimately lies with the person who betrayed their trust. Throughout all these emotions, James also experienced an overwhelming sense of loneliness. The emotional connection he had with Sarah, once a source of comfort and security, now felt distant and unreachable. The wife he thought he knew had become a stranger in his eyes, and the weight of that distance left him feeling isolated in his own grief. Loneliness in the aftermath of infidelity is a common experience, as the betrayed partner often feels disconnected from the world around them, unable to share their pain or even comprehend their own emotions fully. This emotional turmoil also brings forth feelings of betrayal, not just toward the spouse, but toward the very concept of love and commitment. The emotional wreckage left behind by infidelity can lead to a deep reevaluation of the meaning of trust, loyalty, and intimacy. The trauma inflicted by infidelity can change an individual's outlook on relationships for years to come, and in some cases, it may cause lasting emotional scars that affect future partnerships. The emotional toll that James experienced after uncovering his wife's affair is a stark reminder of the profound impact that infidelity can have on an individual's emotional well-being. It's a journey that involves confronting intense feelings of betrayal, anger, sadness, confusion, and isolation. The experience is not just about the actions of the unfaithful partner, it's about the deep emotional damage caused by the breach of trust and the complex emotional process that follows.